Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Meditation Momma podcast. We are in season 2, episode 5 of our series on the teaching stories that meditators love. And our story today is one of my all time favorites, and it's a story about equanimity. So, hi, welcome. I'm Caren Prentice, and today's story, I just want to let you know this is probably one of the most contentious stories I share. This is the story of all the stories where people go, "What? Why didn't he this? Why didn't they that?" And it just triggers all kinds of wait a minute. But let's go ahead. I'm going to tell you the story and we'll talk afterwards about what it tells us about equanimity. So here we go. The name of the story is Aso, or Is That So? And the story takes place in Japan. So, once upon a time, in a little village in Japan, many, many decades, centuries ago, there was a young girl and a young boy, and they really, really, really liked each other. And they were best of friends, and they hung out as often as they could. And as they got older, that turned into a real attraction, a real love and caring for each other. Well, as these things go, the day came where they discovered she was pregnant, and they were they were mortified. They didn't know what to do. They didn't want to bring shame down on their families, and they just waited and they waited, so not knowing what to do. Well, the day came where her parents realized she was pregnant, and they asked her, "Who did this to you? Who did this to you?" And she just didn't want to say it was her friend, her boyfriend. And so she said, after much prodding from her parents, it was the monk who lived in the monastery up the hill. And this monk was a very well regarded monk, and they were just stunned. But when the baby was born, the parents, and by now the whole village knew, they boom, boom, boomed up the hill to the monastery, the stream of people carrying the baby, and they banged on the monastery door. And as the monk answered, they said, so angrily, "How could you do this? How could you do this? This is your child. You must raise this child." And they left the child with the monk, and all he could say as they handed the child over was, "Ah, so, is that so? Is that so?" But he took the child, and the villagers, the parents, the young man and woman left, and the monk took really, really good care of the child. As his reputation just fell to pieces in the village, he didn't care. And he just made sure to take really, really good care of this young child, giving it food and milk and everything it needed. And it grew to really love and care for this child. Well, as the child got older and was just unbelievably cute, and this mother was watching this baby and the dad watching this beautiful, cute little baby, they could stand it no longer. And they finally went to the girl's parents and to his parents, and they confessed that it was really their child. At which point the parents were mortified and the whole village found out. And once again, they boom, boom, doom. Everybody marched up the hill, bang, bang, bang on the door of the monastery. And as the monk answered, they were so apologetic. They said, "We're so, so sorry, so, so sorry, but this really is their child, and they want the baby back. They want the baby back." And the monk just very gently and tenderly yielded the cute little boy back over. And all the monk said was, "Ah, so, is that so?" And he gave the baby over, and the baby and the villagers went back. And the monk continued on with his life, and his reputation grew, even as the young man and the young woman raised this child and had many more and continued their life in the village. Ah, so, is that so? So do you see why people go, "What? What? What is it about this story?" And what's important about this story is to just the teaching is in the monk's response. Because if it was one of us whose reputation was ruined, who was being accused of something we hadn't done, what would you do? What would I do? I know in the past what I would have done was defend myself. I would have screamed, "This isn't fair." I would have screamed, "This isn't this, I didn't do this." And I would have totally gone on the defense or the offense, whatever it took to not have this happen. But the monk just simply said, "Oh, is that so?" And took the baby, excuse me, and raised the baby. And then, as he grew to love this baby and care for this baby, when they came back and said, "Oh, we're so sorry. We realize now it isn't your baby. You didn't do this. We so apologize, and we want the baby back." You know, most of us would go, "Hold it, hold it. I've raised this. This is like my son now or my daughter. This is mine child. I love this child. I'm not giving it up." But no, the monk said, "Ah, is that so?" And very gently yielded the baby back. And the point isn't whether or not the baby cried. The point isn't, that's not the point. The point is, in the face of wrongfully being accused, having your life upended, being completely inconvenienced, there was no resistance. In the face of having something taken away that you loved, that you cared about, that you had developed and grown and cared for, and having that, somebody wanting to take that away from you, instead of fighting it and resisting it, instead of letting that attachment to that child, you decide no, and you release and you give back. And so what this story is telling us is that the path to equanimity is to let go of resistance and to let go of attachment, which, if you recall, those are the two sources of what keep us upset and dissatisfied. And the big technical term is, suffering. It's our resistance to the way things are that make us miserable. It's our attachment to the things we love and not wanting to lose them that make us miserable. And so this story really is a profound teaching. It's really not so much about the details as setting up two situations that in most of us humans would have us defending ourselves, blaming everybody for accusing us of the wrong thing. And instead of going there, just recognizing, oh, this is a situation. Okay. And showing up for the situation as it is. No resistance. And then when it's being taken away from us, that attachment, we all know this, right? That you don't want to lose what you love, whether it's a person, whether it's a home, whether it's a job, whether it's an idea that you've lived by and you love it, and you realize one day, oh, it's not serving you. These attachments are what cause us unhappiness. And equanimity is that place where we abide in this realm, where we just accept what happens. We just accept what is happening and we go with it. And it's not about being passive in the sense of a doormat. It's absolutely not about that at all. It's about seeing the way things are and not fighting it. Do you see the difference? It's not about being passive. It's about just seeing the way things are and accepting it and then moving forward, dealing with it. So on a much more mundane level, right, of this teaching, what it does is it begins to show us to look for the places we're resisting and ask ourselves, oh, I'm resisting this. And what can we do to not resist it? To look at where we're attached and say, oh, I'm attached to this, and to learn how to let go of attachment. And what that does over time is it trains us into a space of just even if it's inconvenient, just accepting what is. And so this morning, as I'm getting ready to do this podcast, I look out my window and there's a big truck with a chipper parked literally right outside. And my neighbors are having their trees cut down. And I, in the past, would have been, oh my gosh, this is awful. This is awful. I'm supposed to be recording and there's going to be all this wood chipper noise outside. Oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? The schedule's off, blah, blah, blah. That's how I would have been in the past. This morning, I looked outside and I saw the wood chipper and I started laughing. I just started laughing. It was like, oh, seriously? Oh my gosh. And rather than get upset or stew or anything, I just went outside and I said to guys, hey guys, do you have any sense how long this is going to take or when you're going to be working the chipper? And they looked at me and they said, oh, 20 minutes. We'll be in and out of here. And I was like, oh, equanimity. Instead of jumping into a place of resistance, oh my gosh, this is awful, this is awful. Just showing up, oh, this is what's going on. Let me get all the data, let me get the information, and I'll deal with it. And I'll deal with it. And it was so simple. Now, this is a really mundane example, but it really kind of makes the point. I was attached to the idea of getting this recording done today on a schedule. And I was resisting the fact that something might be showing up to interfere with that, and it would inconvenience me, my staff, our plans. And no, equanimity. This story is part of what has helped me to learn how to just accept what is. Just accept this is what it is. And the upset, the resistance is what is a source of unhappiness. The attachment to wanting it to be other than it is a source of unhappiness. And so equanimity, this story, the teaching is when something comes, you look at it and you go, oh, is that so? Or as we often say, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? And we look at it with curiosity and we look at it and we go, okay, so now what? What can I do with this information? Maybe I need more information. How do I deal with this and move forward? And we let go of the resistance. We let go of the attachment. And in its place, we find really what's called equanimity. And with equanimity, there's a sense of joy and a sense of humor that can arise. And sometimes we are inconvenienced. But you know what? Have you heard this saying? Some days you get the bear, and some days the bear gets you. And we just begin to live from a place where life doesn't always have to, quote unquote, go our way. We recognize that some days things are going to go really smooth and easy, and other days they're not. And we can approach both days with the same, just being present with what is, just being present with what is and dealing with it from a place of equanimity. So I hope this made the point. And if your mind starts to argue with elements of the story, come back to the point it's trying to make, which is the way to deal with the things that we don't like, that we want to resist, that we want to defend ourselves, to just simply, oh, I see the direction this is going. Okay. And we learn to just ride the horse in the direction it's going. There's no point in trying to stem the force of an event that's going one way. We go, okay. And when it's going another direction, we go, okay. With a sense of awareness and a sense of showing up for life just as it is, not trying to shape life to our will or to our needs or to the way we think it should be. But in the process of showing up for life the way it is, that's where we gain wisdom, we become more understanding and compassionate, and we can live from a place of equanimity and joy. So that's our story for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to having you join me on our next story. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. I do hope you found something that was helpful or meaningful or maybe even inspiring. If you have any questions, please email me at podcast@meditationmomma, MOMMA.com, and I'll be sure to answer them on one of our upcoming episodes. And in the meantime, let's all just take a moment to just let our attention drop into that heart center, and let's take this thought with us into the rest of our day, the rest of our week.
May I be happy, may I be free, joyous, grateful, safe and at ease. May I live wisely, flowing downstream, row my boat gently and sing merrily. May you be happy, may you be free, joyous, grateful, safe and at ease. May you live wisely, flowing downstream, row your boat gently and sing merrily. May all be happy, may they be free, joyous, grateful, safe and at ease. May they live wisely, flowing downstream, row their boats gently and sing merrily.